Hello and welcome to episode 4 of the Ninilchik podcast. I can't believe this is episode 4 already. Part of me feels like I just started and part of me feels like I've been doing it forever. Thank you so much for all the comments, all the messages, all the love you guys have been sending my way and sharing, all the interaction that's been going on in the Ravelry group. It's been really amazing and I really appreciate it. I've been trying really hard to answer all your comments, all your messages. If I haven't, I apologize. I'm reading all of them and I'm trying really hard to make sure I leave a comment with all of them. But I just realized this morning that I have over 1,500 followers on this podcast, which is amazing. Thank you so much. I wish I could fly you guys all over here and have a big sleepover party with hot chocolate and knitting and chocolate to eat and just have everybody chill out together. It would be so much fun. And I feel like if we set our minds to it, we could probably figure out how to save the world. Because knitters are it's the best community I've ever been a part of. It really is. It's the most giving and kind and supportive community I've ever been a part of. And I feel like if every politician were required to be a knitter or crocheter fiber person in some way, their world would be a really good place. Because I don't know any mean fiber artists. I hope that your community is the same. I feel like I'm really lucky with the people I'm surrounded by that have just shown such amazing love and support. And I hope your community is the same way. I hope you feel that way too. Anyway, my name's Maria. This is the Ninilchik podcast. I'm coming to you from my home just outside of Asheville, North Carolina, where I live with my husband and my 2 kids and our 4 cats and our 16 chickens and our 6 beehives. We have a little homestead. This is Isabella. She insists on being on my lap whenever I sit down. So there may be a little dance going on. Yes, you can find me on Instagram. That's where I'm most active as ninja.chickens. You can find me on Ravelry as Ninilchik. I'm on Facebook as Ninilchik, but mainly it's just me posting my Instagram stuff there. But yeah, Instagram and Instagram and Ravelry are probably the best places to get in touch with me if you need to. And then there's the Ninilchik Ravelry group, which is where I am going to also start posting my show notes. They'll be on my blog, which is ninilchik.org. But I'll also put them on Ravelry because I know sometimes people don't. It's easier to get there for some people. So that was a convoluted intro. Let me see if I've got everything for you. Yes. The beginning of this podcast will be mostly knitting or crafty fiber related. And then the last part of it, I usually talk a little bit about what's going on in our homestead, maybe a little bit about homeschooling. And I will often give a recipe. Lately it's been tea recipes, and I have another tea recipe for you. I also have today a very special giveaway that I'm going to be talking about, and a couple of really neat fiber related things that have come across my desk that I wanted to share with you. So we'll get into it. Isabella's obviously going to help me today. My first work in progress, actually my only work in progress, I've cleared everything else off my needles, is the Haust sweater by Dora Stephensen. Isn't that beautiful? I rarely wear green, but I fell in love with that. So I got something very similar from Let Lopi. They actually use a yarn for this pattern. They use a yarn from the same company, but it's an unspun yarn, which is fairly fragile. And I'm not a tight knitter, but I do put tension on the yarn when I'm knitting. And I've found that even with some of the Brooklyn tweed yarns, some of those are somewhat fragile, and I, especially if I'm cabling, will tend to rip them. So I thought, if I do that, and this one even says this is a fragile yarn, then I'm probably not going to like it. I knew it was going to be really frustrating. So I got one step down, and I'm actually getting engaged with this. And here's my sweater so far. It's a super easy knit because after you do the rib, all you're doing is knitting. Knit, knit, knit. So that's it. That's the bottom of it. And then right here at the beginning is where you purl a couple stitch at the beginning and the end, and that creates the area where you will steek or cut it to create it, to make it into a cardigan. This is my first time steeking, so I'm really excited about that. I'll definitely do a video when I cut it. But I think it's gorgeous. I love the color. And I'm pairing it with, oh, I don't have it here, 2 different shades of yellow, a fairly pure yellow and then a mustard yellow. And I was thinking of doing each triangle in a different yellow. I thought that would be a nice pop. I've got it in one of my fat squirrel bags. I absolutely love this bag. It's just so sweet. It makes me think of France. Maybe it's his little hat. I don't know. But I just think it's really cute. So Fat Squirrel, she has a podcast also, and she makes amazing project bags. She does a really good job of picking out fabrics that I like. So there's that one. Oh, Isabella. She does this. She meows until she gets the attention she wants. So that is my only work in progress. I'm hoping, because I don't think the sweater is going to take very long since it's mostly just knitting, and it's a large, I mean, this is a, you know, that's an Aran weight, I would say. I don't think it's going to take very long. So I'm hoping that as soon as that one's done, I can cast on a sweater for my husband. I've been wanting to make him the Ridari sweater, which is a really beautiful pullover that has color work along the top. So I've already got the yarn. It's the same. It's the Let Lopi yarn, which is the yarn they use in that project. So I will cast that one on soon. Let's see. And then I have finished objects. My first finished object I'm wearing. Yay! Isn't that beautiful? This is called a swancho. It's the Ninilchik. Ninilchik. I always say it wrong. Ninilchik swancho. Ninilchik by Caitlin Hunter. I was going to show you my show notes. I'll put it in the bottom. She also goes by Boyland Knitworks. And I did a test knit for her with this, and it just went so fast. I wasn't sure I'd get it off the needles in time because we were in Disney for part of the test knitting time, but it just went so fast because it's addictive. The yarn is squishy and soft and silky feeling. It's by the Farmer's Daughter fibers, and I picked the same yarns that she used, that Caitlin used for her first knit, just because I thought it was beautiful, and the colors really go so well together. People have asked about if this gets in the way, and really I tend to wear it like this, so it's just like a regular sweater. I couldn't do cooking in it if I were wearing it like this because this might catch on something, and yeah, I mean, otherwise it's like wearing a regular sweater. In fact, when I first put it on, I wanted to pull it over my knees and go like this because it reminds me of when you're a kid and you're cold or you want to feel safe or whatever, and you take your shirt and you pull it over your knees. It's so big you can do that without stretching it, and it just feels cozy. I want to take it and go sit by the fire and read a book and drink some hot chocolate or something. It's so nice. Okay, I had to put Isabella out. She just keeps meowing and meowing and pawing at me. She's been doing that lately, sitting on my lap. And if I wear any of my nice knits, she kind of starts climbing up my lap, and her little claws just pull on it. And I'm like, no, leave my sweaters alone. She's a very needy cat. She's a very needy cat. And I love snuggling her and stuff, but sometimes you want a little space. So if anyone wants to come over and snuggle my cat, you are more than welcome to, because she would be so happy to constantly be in someone's lap. I've joked around about getting a baby sling for her just so I could carry her around everywhere, because she would be in heaven, but I think that's going a little bit too far. Okay, I have 2 more finished objects for you. I think I had started, or just started, both of them with the last podcast. The first one are Leaf's kitty mitts, and he's so excited about these. Let's see. So here is the first one. This is the outside. Well, the first one, they look the same. There's the kitties and the cuff, and here's the other side. Look at that. There's a fishy and a little kitty paw. He loves them. He was so excited. He really wants to wear them, but it's been in the 50s and 60s. And he told me the other night when I was tucking him in for bed, Mommy, this has been the worst winter ever. And I was like, why? Why? What's going on? He said, there's been so little snow. He loves snow. He will sit indoors all the other times of the year, but when snow is out there, it doesn't matter if it's like 2 degrees outside. He will go outside the moment he gets up and play in the snow until he's freezing cold, has to come in, warm up by the fire, and then goes right back out. He would do well in a very cold climate. He absolutely loves it. He loves being in the snow. So these are his new mittens, and he's super excited. So they are officially called the cat mittens by Jorid, Jorid, Linvik, Linvik. And I used Knitpicks palette, which is supposed to be for color work, but honestly, and I like how it looks a lot, but I found it splitty. It was kind of frustrating to use because with the way I hold my yarn, every time I'd try and go for the other color, I'd end up splitting it in half. So I had to go back a lot, undo the stitch, you know, rearrange the plies, and then do it again. And so I probably wouldn't use the same yarn next time, but I do like how they turned out. The pattern is written for adults. And of course he has, you know, almost 8-year-old hands. He'll be 8 in 2 days. And they recommend, I believe, a 1.5 or a 2 US size. I'm sorry about that. I'm trying to turn it off, but it doesn't. My mother keeps texting me, and I don't know how to turn. I've turned it off on my computer, but it keeps showing up. Anyway, they recommend a larger needle. I used a size 1 or a 2.25 millimeter, and I cut out probably about 6 rows where you couldn't see it. I cut out a little bit of the body so they're shorter. They're not arching their backs as much. And I cut out a little bit of the leg, just a row here and there. So the legs are shorter, but that makes the whole thing shorter. And they fit in perfectly. So I'm excited. They're super cute. Super cute kitty mittens. All right, let's see. Okay. Text kept coming in from my mother, and I've turned it off on my phone. I know it's annoying when you're watching a podcast and you just keep hearing binging or the phone going on in the background. So I try to turn everything off beforehand, but for some reason it keeps coming through my computer, even though I turned it off. And she's texting me. She's down in Florida right now, and she's texting me about saffron for dyeing because she's able to get a bunch of saffron, which is really cool. But I had to text her and say, stop texting me. I can't turn it off, and it keeps binging through my podcast. So I'll try and cut all that out. Anyway. My last finished object, which I'm really excited about, are the Shine Mittens by Pia Kammeborn, and she has been having a knit-along for these recently. Some of you may have seen them in my Instagram feed. I used the Knitpicks Wool of the Andes Sport, and they came out perfectly. I'll show you. They fit really well. I thought they were going to be too big, and that maybe I'd put in some fleece or something, but actually I think they fit well. Oh, I wasn't supposed to show you that yet. So if you saw my Instagram feed, you saw that I was almost completely finished with these, and I just had to add the thumb to my left hand one when I looked, and I was like, I knit 2 right hand mittens. I wasn't even paying attention. I've done something like that before but never gotten to the point where I was almost done. You know, I think I was 3 or 4 rows into it when I realized what I was doing. But these, you can see, the color work starts changing right here towards the bottom so that you can make a gusset, right, for your thumb. And I was done everything but adding the thumb. And I was like, oh, I didn't want to rip back the whole thing. And I really didn't want to knit 2 left-handed mittens and then have 2 pairs. I could have. It would have been really nice to be able to give one away, you know, but I really wanted to get onto my sweater, and I wanted to have these done so I could wear them during the winter. So let me tell you what I did. Here's what I did. So here's the gusset. Woo, there's the thumb. I thought, okay, maybe I'm being lazy, or maybe I just want to try my hand at a little bit of yarn cutting and feel confident at it, because I would have had to rip the whole thing back anyway if I decided to reknit it. So why not give it a try and see if I could pick up the number of stitches on this side and cut like you would with an afterthought heel. I've never done one before, but it made sense to me to, you know, cut the row in between the 2 needles when you picked up stitches and unravel that yarn, and then pick up and knit your thumb. And it worked perfectly. I mean, the thumb looks great. There's Nothing wrong with it. The only thing is that I've still got this gusset over here. So I just went ahead and closed it the best I could, and I think it looks good. And honestly, you know, it's not perfect, but most people are going to be seeing this side, and no one would probably know unless I showed them. All of you know now. But I think it was pretty cool. I know I was probably being lazy that I didn't knit the other, just redo it. But I was really excited. It took me like, I don't know, an hour to pick up the stitches and knit the thumb. And then I closed it up and was like, whoa, check it out. I did it. So now I'm not so scared to steek that sweater because I've, undone some yarn before or undone some knitted rows and it worked. So I'm excited. These are gorgeous. I really like them. Pia just has a fabulous sense. Aesthetic sense. I love all the things she knits. They're really beautiful. The designs she creates. Let me see if I told you everything about that I wanted to. I think I did. All right. So those are my finished objects. I have one thing on the needles. I think that's it for you. And then I have a giveaway. My first giveaway, yay! When I saw that I'd hit 1,500 subscribers, I was like, okay, we need to have a giveaway. And within 10 minutes, I got an email from Mina Philipp, who's the Knitting Expat. She has the Knitting Expat podcast. And she asked if I wanted to have a giveaway of one of her new designs. And I was like, that's absolutely perfect. So here's what we've got. Excuse me for the crinkling. She has been working on what she's calling the New York collection, and it is a sock pattern club, an ebook basically, that's going to have 7 patterns in it, one released every month beginning March, and then the last March 1st, and then the last release will be September 1st, and you'll get a new sock pattern sent to you every month. Plus her vanilla sock recipe, so her standard basic sock, and then a bunch of 7 other patterns that are going to have really pretty designs. And she's working with a different indie dyer for each sock. So you will also, if you decide to buy those yarns, you'll also get to know a lot of the indie dyers, which I think is pretty cool. But it comes, I just think this is like a lot of really good stuff for the price if you decide to buy into it, but it's also a really good win. They're written for 3 sizes. They're written for toe up or cuff down. She's included instructions on how to do a German short row heel, a modified heel flap adjustment that makes the heel a little bit deeper. That's one of the new things that she's just done. And how to do it with either a contrasting heel color or the same yarn throughout the whole sock. I just think that's awesome. It's like a little sock book, basically, that you're purchasing. And she's also one that does a really good job. Shawls and socks, I think, are some of the most prolific things. She's been most prolific in designing those, and they're beautiful. So there's going to be a knit along, there's going to be prizes, there's going to be chatter in her Ravelry group, all of that good stuff. And I have a full club to give away. So I'm excited about that. I thought for the person who wins this, it would be really nice to also have a skein of yarn to go with it. So I was going to throw in this for you. This is something that I just think is beautiful. I love the colors. There's reds, pinks, purples, and yellows. And I think it's self-striping. I'm not sure, but I just haven't used it. And I thought, well, this would be really pretty for you guys to go with whoever wins it. It is by a company called Color Me Happy Dyeworks. And I looked it up, and I do not think she's making them anymore. I don't think she's dyeing anymore, but it's 75% Blueface Leicester, which is nice. It's a different one. A lot of people do their socks in merino with nylon, but this is BFL, and 25% nylon. So it's a 100-gram skein sock yarn. So this will go to whoever wins the club. So you'll be getting this from me, and I'll get in touch with you about that. And then Mina will hook you up with her sock club. For this, then, I will open a thread in the Ravelry group and have a prompt. I'll have a question there for you to answer. I'm not sure what yet. I'll have to think about it. And then I'm going to draw the winner February 28th, the last day of February, so I can let you know, and you can get the pattern the first day it comes out, and you'll have the whole month to knit it if you want. So yeah, that's exciting. I think I told you everything about it. Yeah. along with that, I also wanted to have a little giveaway of one of the teas that I make. So I'm going to pick 3 winners from that prompt for Mina's sock club. The first winner, the first person who comes up, will get the club and the pattern, and the club and the sock yarn, and a little sampler of tea from me, and then 2 other people will get a large bag of tea. For this month, I've been hoping to podcast last weekend, but life happens and it didn't end up working out. So I'm not getting you your Valentine's recipe to you before Valentine's Day, but it's still good, and I'll tell you more about it towards the end. But this is the tea that I made. Sorry, let's see. See all those gorgeous flowers? There's lots of good stuff. I'm calling it a Valentine's tea, but it partly because some of the things that are in it are good for the heart. So I'll tell you about this and give you the recipe for this later, but 2 people will also win some of my tea. So, yay, a giveaway. I'm excited. Okay, what else have we got? Oh, Leaf and I finished his little snow globe. Here it is. How cute is that? I love the colors he picked for the house. It's such a cheerful little house. Let's see if I can move it in so it focuses better. There we go. And the little moon. I mean, because of the colors in the house and the moon, they just pop. It's just so sweet. So this will be put aside with all the rest of the ones that we've been working on slowly. And then maybe at some point, I don't know, maybe when he moves out in 10 years, I'll have enough to make a blanket or something with these for him. This is Cozy Blue. I believe she's at Cozy Blue. I didn't write it down. I will put it in the show notes to make sure you know. But she is a local embroidery designer, and she comes out with just the most adorable small patterns that, they always fit in this size hoop. And it might be a large marigold or a ginkgo leaf or a girl with cool fruit on her head. She just has the cutest things. So I would definitely look her up. I think they are really fun patterns to do with kids too, because they keep them engaged because they're cute. So Cozy Blue, and I will link her in the show notes. Let's see. So Fern Fiber. I am also co-owner of Fern Fiber, which is a naturally dyed yarn company, locally sourced and spun most of our stuff. So you get Appalachian yarn dyed with Appalachian plants. So we had a release last Friday, and it sold out pretty quickly. Those greens and reds and blues that I showed you, I guess it was last episode. So we're working on doing a lot more. We got almost all of our yarn back from the mill. We have one more batch that's actually in a mill from Wisconsin, because no one in this area has the machinery that they need to process the super fine yarns. And we got some really beautiful local Rommeldale and Monteldale and some black Cormo from local farms around us. But then once we got it, we couldn't find a mill that could process it. So we sent it to a mill that's actually in Wisconsin. And she's almost done. Sometime hopefully at the end of this month, it will be to us. And I'm really excited to see and feel that, because it's going to be super soft and squishy. But what we did get back from the mill, we have a lot more Romney, some Cotswold, I think some more Shetland. So I've been working at dyeing some of that. This is Leroy. He is a white Romney. His fleece was white before I dyed it. And they're a fingering weight. What I did was I dyed this with madder root and a tiny bit of cochineal, which seems to help get that deep red color. It's turning out a little bit pinker in here than it is in person. And when this was out, there was still some color in the pot, so I dunked in a few more skeins. And in person, this is actually a really similar color to my walls, which is kind of a pinky taupe color. They're really beautiful. I think either of these would make a really pretty cardigan. So we'll see. We have a good bit of those. And then these 3 are all also Romney from 2 ladies named Coco and Maud. And they were very dark gray. So I thought it would be neat to put some colors on them and see how they turned out. So this blue one is just indigo, and the green one is weld. And then I took some of the weld and I dunked it in indigo, and I got this one. So actually this is a little bit more of a yellowy green in person, and then you can see the difference in the 2. Aren't they pretty? They're super I like putting against my face to see how soft they are. They're super soft and squishy. So I have a bunch of these also. A lot of this stuff is going to be going towards our trunk show. Nikki and I have a trunk show at the Black Mountain Yarn Shop on March 25th. And because it's just the two of us, and we're working mostly with local stuff, a lot of our, we get as much fleece as we can and dye that up, and when it's gone, it's gone. We have a lot right now that's coming in because all the stuff we got after spring and fall shearings are coming back from the mill. It actually takes a while to get things through the mill, 6 months to a year sometimes, depending on how backed up they are. But it's the two of us. I'm homeschooling my kids. She's working and has 2 kids also. So it's not, though it would be lovely to be a full-time job, it's not, we don't have the time to make fern fiber a full-time job. So what we're trying to do right now, even though March 25th seems like it's a far way away, is we're taking a lot of that, the time that we have in the next month, month and a half, to do a lot of dyeing for the show. So hopefully there will be some of this in the store. We're hoping to have one more small release before the trunk show. Whatever's left from the trunk show will definitely go into the store, and I'll let you guys know about that. If you want to follow our feed, it's Fern Fiber on Instagram. And then you'll hear when we have our releases. And if you're close enough, you can come to the trunk show. It's going to be awesome. Come and feel and squish the yarn. It's always so much better to be able to feel it and smell it and look at the colors in person if you can. So yes, that's that. We've been doing some dyeing. And what else? Okay, acquisitions. So it was my birthday on the 3rd. I went out and dyed my hair. I've been wanting to dye my hair. You can see a little bit of the colors. I've been wanting to dye it for years, but it's a very dark brown. I was born strawberry blonde, oddly enough, but it turned brown as I got into my teens, and then darker brown after I had my kids. And then it went gray, because I had my kids. You guys who have kids know what I mean. But I didn't want to get my hair bleached because though I have a good bit of hair, it's fairly fine. And I knew that bleaching my hair to put color in it was going to make it really frizzy. So I thought, well, maybe when I get enough gray, I can put some color in it then. And I thought, it's my birthday. I've got a pretty good bit of gray. I'm going to give it a try. So I went, she's like, oh yeah, this will be perfect on top of the grays. So she did maybe this much on the bottom. She bleached some of it lightly so that it would take lighter colors. And then she put in some purple and some blues and some greens. It's actually faded. It was on the 3rd, so it's actually faded a little bit since then, but I really love how it turned out. Anyway, I've dunked my head in the indigo pot before. I have one streak of gray right here, so I took the gray and dunked that in the indigo pot, and that actually turned out really neat. It was a blue jean blue for a couple weeks before it rinsed out. But just like indigo can be harsh on wool because you have to bring it up to a higher pH to get the color you want. And then you have to dunk it in vinegar and to bring the pH back down and, really make sure it's not too harsh for the wool. It can be harsh on hair, so I didn't want to dunk my head over and over again in an indigo and then have it be too brittle because then my hair would end up breaking. So anyway, I did my hair for my birthday. And I got a few acquisitions. Everybody always says, what do you want for your birthday? What should my family, what should we get you? I'm like, you know the answer to that. They're like, yeah, but yarn's so boring. And I'm like, it's boring to you. I love yarn. You can get me anything related to knitting and I will be as happy as can be. Not that I need more yarn. I'm looking at my stash right here on this wall. But, anything related to fiber would make me so happy. Not that they need to get me anymore, but still. So they all bought me fiber-related things. So the first one was from my mother, and I have the first one in this series, so she brought me the second, which is The Second Treasury of Knitting Patterns by Barbara G. Walker. And this is page after page after page of different pattern ideas, which I think is so much fun when I'm wanting to design something and I can kind of see how that would work in my head. I can go in these and be like, oh, that's it. That's exactly what I was wanting to do. And then I have kind of the instructions on how to work that out. Or if I want to change something another design that someone else did and I want it to tweak it a little, it's got all kinds of directions. And I think she has 3 or 4 treasuries, but they're really good. So that was from Mama and Papa. The next one, I told you in my first episode, I think, how much I really wanted this book it's called about yarn farming, about raising sheep and how to take it from the sheep to the shawl and caring for the sheep and stuff like that. And I had that on my wish list for a long time. And for the holidays, my family, my kids and my husband got me a book about knitting, a fiber-related book, but not about farming. And they said, we saw that on your list, but we didn't really want to encourage you because they're like, we don't need sheep. They don't need sheep. I need sheep. So my kids, for my birthday, got me this. They got me the book. It's Adventures in Yarn Farming, 4 Seasons on a New England Fiber Farm by Barbara Parry. And when I opened it, my husband said, I'm still not encouraging you. Which I thought was funny. It's just beautiful pictures and great information about what she goes through in a year to get her sheep, to keep them healthy, breeding, shearing. Oh, I'm not doing this very well, am I? Let's see. So it goes by season. And I'm really excited to dig into this. I'm reading some of the books that they got me for the holidays, so I haven't gotten into this yet, but I think it's going to be really nice. It also has a lot of projects. Each season has new projects, new designs in here. So you get patterns for spinning, dyeing, knitting, and weaving, along with the story of how she works her farm. I'm just excited about it. It looks like a really good book. And then last but not least, I got this from my husband. The Year of Living Danishly, Uncovering the Secrets of the World's Happiest Country. He was looking at knitting books, and this came across his computer, and he read about it and it sounded really, really interesting. It's about a woman who travels to Denmark and to discover the secret of why they are so happy. They're known as being the happiest country in the world, and wrote a book about her year there. And he gave it to me just because he thought it would be a good read, but then he said, and depending on how things continue to go in the United States, we might need to know our options for where to go, which I thought was kind of funny. Because most of you know, there's a bit of turmoil going on with the government and how things are going and heading and rules and blah, blah. I won't get into it, but I might be heading somewhere out there. We will see. Anyway, I haven't started this one yet either, but it looks really good. Oh, I forgot to show you. I went to, sorry if that was too loud. I just saw something behind me and got excited. I went to my friend's house yesterday so that we could visit and our kids could play. Our kids are just a couple years apart, our boys. And she runs, Katie is her name, she and her husband run a flower farm. Flowers for weddings, flowers for stores to sell, different kinds of bouquets, dried flowers, stuff like that. They have a beautiful piece of property up on a hill where you can just see everything, and there's old rundown barns and there's silos, and it's just kind of like this, photographic paradise. I really love going out there. But it's also, she's one of those friends that you don't ever feel, this might sound funny, but I think you know what I mean. You don't feel like you have to clean the house or prepare a special meal to have them over because they accept you just the way you are, and they support you in whatever you do. She's just one of those friends that's very dear. And I went over there and we just, let loose, talked about everything that was going on in our lives, gave big hugs, enjoyed walks on the land. It was a really, really nice day. And we went down to her greenhouse, and I noticed that a lot of the corn that they had grown last year, her husband really wanted to grow this colorful Indian corn so that they could sell it at the market for Thanksgiving, for decorations, and then they'd have some to grind up for food or for animal feed or whatever. Indian corn is really, really beautiful. It's not just the standard yellow or white. There's actually a lot of colors in it. And so I really like shucking the corn because it's kind of, I told her I liken it to pulling yarn out of a dye pot or opening up a yarn for the first time, because it's just the surprise of colors. You don't know what you're going to get. It might be mostly blue with speckles of gray and silver. It might be pink and purple and orange. Like, the colors are just amazing. So I said, can we shuck some corn? She's like, yes, please, because they had a bunch that had been undone. So we stood there for probably 30 minutes, 45 minutes, just pulling the corn out of its husks and putting the corn aside. And I took a picture and put it on my Instagram feed because it was just so beautiful. But one of them, well, a lot of them, I was like, ooh, this is good sweater inspiration. Ooh, this is good sweater inspiration because the colors went so well together. One of them reminded me of my sweater. So I want to show you this. I took this one home. Look. Let's see if I can get it focused. Well, it's close, but check this out. They're the exact same colors. There's the pink and the purples and blues and the cream. The only thing it's really missing, see if I come up close. The only thing it's really missing is that gold. But isn't that beautiful? They're just so amazing. I'm so inspired by the way nature puts colors together. It's so pretty. So I don't know what I'm going to do with it now. I kind of just want to keep it with the sweater. Maybe I should make a necklace. And then I can wear it with my sweater. Anyway, I had a lot of people asking questions about it on my Instagram feed. Like I said, it's called, the general name is Indian corn. There's many different varieties. One year we planted one that was really small and red and called strawberry popcorn, and it actually was popcorn. Once it was dried, you could use it as popcorn. There's many different varieties, and if you look, I mean, you could Google Indian corn and find places that sell it. It's fairly easy to grow, and it's just fun because you don't know what you're going to get. And even if you only grow like 10 stalks and you just get a handful of corn, you know, you could put them on your nature table or hang them up on your door for the holidays or whatever. But yeah, if you want to try it, you should grow it. It's not something that's extremely hard. You just initially need to keep the birds away from pecking the corn up and make sure it gets enough water. But yeah, it's fun. Let me see, other things that I got. Oh, I got some things from my sister. She also gave me something knitting related, but it wasn't yarn. She gave me 2 t-shirts. The first one says, Peace, Love, and Knitting. And the second one has a heartbeat with yarn in the middle of it. I just think they're very cute. My family knows me well. They got me everything related to fiber. So yes, let me see. I think that's it. Okay, so now I want to tell you a little bit about 2 things that have come across my computer. Let's see how our time is. Oh, we're good. That have come across my computer in the last week or so. There are 2 crowdfunding things that I'm really inspired by, and so I wanted to share them with you just to get the word out there for them, to help them build up knowledge about what they're trying to do and hopefully get some support. The first one is a Kickstarter that's called Pichinku, and Pichinku is well, it's the name for the company, but it is run by a woman named Dana who went over to Peru in 2013 to work. Let's see, she worked as the director of operations of threads in Peru, and worked with artisans practicing, it says here, worked hand in hand with artisans that practice totally non-mechanized weaving and natural dyeing techniques. Her responsibility was to market their wares. And she was inspired by everything that these women were doing. It was generally women artisans that were out there, and has decided to start the Pichinku Yarn company with them. I'll insert some pictures here because I think they're absolutely beautiful. The yarns are Peruvian alpaca or Peruvian wool, and it's dyed with native plants in that area, making some of the most gorgeous colors that I've seen. And you know, some of these colors are colors I don't know how to get from a plant around here. They're absolutely beautiful. So so she has a Kickstarter that's going now, I think, for another couple of weeks. And I will put the link in the show notes, and I will put the link on my blog because I think it's something good to know about. If nothing else, go and watch the video. The video is absolutely stunning when it shows how they make the dyes, you know, washing the dyes in the local river, the yarns in the local river and the women in their traditional garb, just really beautiful. And I think that it's an important thing to support, because if it's not supported, that's knowledge that may end up falling by the wayside. But I am all about supporting local. My yarn business is about local here, but I'm still going to sell it overseas if someone wants to try it. And so I have no problem also buying yarn from Peru if I know that it's been crafted with such love and tradition. I just think that's amazing. So Pichinku Yarns, and I will put a link to that. And the other one is a new book coming out called Woods, and it's by Making Stories. I'll have all the links. This is a book that's being put together by Verena and Hannah Lisa, and their mission is because they feel like there's so much beautiful European yarns and European dyers that are out there that aren't known. And in the United States, there's been a big push towards US grown yarns, US dyers, and people that are making projects and books specifically with those in mind, but that hasn't happened so much in Europe. So they are putting out a book that is full of designs made with European yarns, specifically beautifully dyed and crafted European yarns. There's going to be socks, sweaters, hats, scarves, a vest. There's lots of different designs in there. But along with that, you're also going to get interviews with some of the people. There's articles about some of the things that they're doing, about yarn processing. There's tips and tools and tutorials about how to work specific techniques. And they're calling their designs minimalistic designs. So not something super crazy that everybody isn't able to do, but classy, simple. And I'm really excited about that too. I think that's a great idea. Again, supporting yarn companies and books and dyers and designers that are indigenous to certain areas, where these small companies trying hard to gather yarns from their specific region can only go so far within their specific region, and when other people know, oh, this amazing yarn comes from this place, way off in, this small little town in Romania or whatever, I don't know, it's special to have a little piece of that. If I can't go there myself and meet the farmers and see the sheep and learn from them, it's nice to have a little piece of what they've created. So again, that is Making Stories, their Woods book, and it's going to be out in November. So right now they're doing an Indiegogo crowdfunding campaign. Both of these, the Pichinku and the Woods book, are ones where if you support, you get something back too. So it's great to support without expecting anything back, but you'll be getting some yarn, or you'll be getting the book, or whatever, depending on how much you support. And you can do it with however much you don't have to. It's not a set amount. There are many amounts you can choose from, so that if you don't have a lot, you can give a small amount and still feel that you're supporting. So I will have links to both of these, and go take a look. Even if you don't plan on giving anything, just go take a look so you know it's out there and you know that these things are going to be available on the market soon, because I think they're really special. Okay, so I am just about done. Let me see. I wanted to tell you a little bit about a podcast that my kids and I have been listening to, actually mostly my youngest and I have been listening to lately, because I think it's fun to share good homeschooling resources when I find them. Even if you don't homeschool, if you have kids, there's still fun things to do in the evenings or on the weekend. And screen time is a hard thing to keep my son off of. He really loves watching Minecraft videos and silly cartoons and stuff. And so he's working on learning how to entertain himself, with Legos and other things. He has so many toys. But the easiest thing is to go turn on the television. So one thing that we've started doing so that he's got some stimulation but he can play at the same time is listening to podcasts. So there's this podcast we'd found called Brains On, Science for Kids, and I'll link to it. And they just have the best, like every single one of those, he's like, ooh, that sounds cool. They have information about cats and why they meow the way they do, or what causes the body to burp or hiccup. And oh, the first one we listened to, and this one actually led to our own little science project, was if you filled a pond with lemonade and it evaporated, would it rain lemonade? And that sounds silly, but it was actually a really interesting explanation. A lot of the questions come in from kids around the world, and they'll follow up on those questions. So we listened to the whole podcast, and then I said, well, basically it said, you know, because of what evaporates is the water, and what would be left in the pond is the gunk from the lemons and the sugar and stuff like that. And my thought was, well, if it's super saturated, if it's oversaturated with sugar, like a super sweet lemonade, I wonder if it would form crystals. I don't know if you guys have ever made sugar crystals before, but you can, you know, like that crystal candy. It's really nasty. Of course, you know, I liked it when I was a kid. If you oversaturate some water with sugar, you heat it up, you put in as much as you possibly can, and then you know, put in a cotton string or some kind of a string. As the crystals will settle out and attach to the string, and then you can take it out and you have this string with big sugar crystals on it. So I thought, well, if you've got super saturated lemonade, would the crystals taste like lemons? So we set up a little experiment. One, we used the whole lemon, put it in a blender with a bunch of sugar, and then heated it up to get that to really get to supersaturate or oversaturate the water. And then one we just used with the lemon juice. And we have them set up. They're still set up. And if you pull out the strings, they're getting little crystals, but not as much. The one with all the lemons started looking really gooey. And I thought, well, that one's not going to work. It's just got too many extra ingredients in there than just sugar. But the last time I pulled it out, it actually had a really big chunk of sugar on it. So that's kind of cool. We'll see. We'll let them continue to evaporate a little bit and see if it works. But Brains On, Science Podcast for Kids, is actually a lot of fun. I mean, it's fun for me to listen to, too. It's neat information. But my kids really enjoy it. And let's see. Oh, some of you have asked about the chickens that I have and our eggs, because we don't get the standard typical kind of grocery store egg. We don't get any white eggs. We have chickens that lay a range of pink to very dark brown to blue and green eggs. Some of you may have seen those before, but a lot of people haven't. And so I thought I'd show you a little bit. I'm going to put in a little clip here of me going out to gather the eggs in the evening, and then we'll come back and I'll show you a couple close-up. So out here's the coop. I have what you can see is an electric fence that we can move around all over the place and connect it to the main coop so that they have fresh green areas that they can roam around in. Right now you can see they've taken down pretty much all the greenery in there, so we need to move the fence so they have some fresh greens. These are the gardens right here on the other side, which are nice and green, and some of the chickens know how to jump into the gardens to get some greens. That right there, let's see if I can get a shot of him. I'll see if I can insert a picture. That is Milhouse. He's one of our roosters, and he's a special kind of rooster. That's Phineas talking to you. He's a special kind of rooster called a frizzle, which means he has a gene for curly feathers. And we got him from the Humane Society. They called and said that someone found some chickens on the side of the road, and so we picked him up and gave him a good home. There he is. Can you see how his feathers curl? He looks like he's stuck his little claw into a lightning socket. I mean, an electric socket. He's a sweetheart, but he's the second in command. Right, let's see. So yeah, here's some of them. And no more greens. That's an old rose patch that'll come up in a little while. All right, so let's go inside. I want to tell you guys a little something about the eggs. They might be loud. That's Merlin. He's our main rooster. He's a sweetheart too.
So let's see. They have their favorite boxes. There's 8 boxes, but of course they only lay in the ones that they want to. So here are some of these eggs. See if I can get a nice focus. There we go. So you see, these don't look like the standard eggs that you'll see at the store. These are light brown with speckles. Ooh, here's a nice one. This one here is a very dark brown. This is laid by one of my hens that I have that's called a French black copper marans, and they are known for laying very dark eggs. This might be similar to what you might see in the store, kind of a pink brown, or maybe even like this one. Let's see. Right? Do any of you ever get green eggs? Let me put this next to a brown one. Green or blue eggs. Look at those. Aren't they beautiful? So some chickens can lay green or blue eggs. It just depends on what genes they have. An egg like this brown one gets its pigment put on towards the end of the egg laying cycle. It takes 26 hours for a chicken to produce an egg. 20 hours when they're producing the shell. And towards the end of that cycle is when the brown pigment is laid on the outside of the egg. So if I just scratch this enough, the brown would come off, and on the inside it looks white. The blue eggs have the pigment put on throughout the cycle, so or throughout the egg shell producing cycle. So the blue ones actually have the blue going through the egg. So if you crack it on the inside, it looks blue. Chickens can lay all different colored eggs. We don't actually have any that lay white eggs. Here's a white golf ball next to these eggs. So you can see that blue and green color. Aren't those gorgeous? So it makes having chickens even more fun because you never know what you're going to get. That's one of the ones who lays those dark, dark brown eggs. And the one at the waterer, she lays some of the blue eggs. This one up here also lays blue eggs. You can see she has a beard, as does this other one. These are both what are called Easter eggers. They're a mix of breeds that then form blue eggs. All right, there's your Chicken Eggs 101.
Okay, so sometimes the chickens don't even lay the standard shape egg. This one is one that I kept because it was such a dark green. Let me see if I can put a white behind it so you can see what it looks like. It's almost chalky looking in person. But when they lay something that's really different, I like to blow the yolk and the white out of it. I'll poke a little hole in the top and then blow it out the bottom so I can keep them because they're just pretty cool looking. So that's a funkier color than I usually get, but sometimes we get really funky shapes, like this one. So this is the original shape, the size, the normal size. This right here is actually pretty big compared to some of the little ones I've gotten before. This has no yolk in it. It's almost always just white. And the farmer name for this kind of egg is a fart egg because it went so quickly through the system that it didn't even absorb a yolk. It's just a little bitty one. And then this one, which we get rarely, but there is one chicken who lays them more often than others. This is called a double yolker. And inside this, whoa, it's massive. I actually measured this and it's very close to the world record. This is called the double yolker. Inside here you will have 2 yolks, 2 full-size eggs inside of one of these. I've actually gotten one before where there was an egg that wasn't completely fully formed with shell inside of another one. It's absolutely crazy. I mean, that's huge. It makes me go out and go, oh, you poor chickens. But yeah, they're massive and they're fun. They're fun to get when we get really odd ones. But It all depends on how long the eggs remain in the oviduct, in the tract, how much pigment is put on during that time. If it stays in a little bit longer, it's going to get more pigment. If it goes through faster, it might actually have less pigment and be a little smaller. Like, there's all different reasons why they come out different sizes, and usually it's the standard size and the standard color for that chicken, but when it's not, it's really fun to get those. So that's a little bit about chicken eggs. I thought you might like to hear about those. Last but not least is our recipe. Like I said, I made the Valentine's tea. It's a really light flavor. But really nice. I almost always drink my teas with a sweetener and cream, but this one is definitely one you could do without it if you don't like super strong things. It's a light, springy type flavor. So this tea is, like I said, what I'm calling my Valentine's tea, and the ingredients that are in it, some of them are there just for flavor, but some of them are there because they truly are good for your circulatory system, or good for your heart, good for supporting blood flow and the strength of your blood vessels. And some of them, it's more, what's the word? More of an energetic thing, that they're good for helping to calm or helping to de-stress, helping to ease your moods. So I thought that would be really nice. It is 4 parts spearmint, just the yummy mint, and 4 parts holy basil, which is a variety of basil, also called tulsi, that almost has a licoricey flavor to it. It's really good. And the 2 of those together would make a perfectly fine tea. If that's all you've got and that's what you want to use, that's fine. If you want to go all out and get some more of these things, we've also got 3 parts of hawthornberry, which is an herb that's known to be good for circulation and the heart. 3 parts rose hips, which, aside from being part of the rose, which is a symbol of love, are also very high in vitamin C and good for strengthening the blood vessels. 2 parts rose petals, 1 part corn flour, and 1 part ginger. Ginger is a really nice one to have in your teas because it helps with blood flow and kind of helps deliver the herbs to where you want them to go. The extra in here, which is just for fun if you want to do it, is damiana, 1 part damiana. And I will add a little information about damiana to my show notes. Its scientific name is Ternera diffusa or Ternera aphrodisiaca. And it's a native shrub in Mexico and South America, and it was used, it's kind of warm and spicy, but not like cayenne spicy. It was used traditionally by the Aztec and the Maya as an aphrodisiac. So we can thank them for chocolate and for damiana. And it's not really sure exactly, at least the last time I looked up the scientific information. There may be new research out there by this time, but I'm not sure. Last I looked, it was not sure exactly why damiana works the way it does. It is believed that it might increase blood flow to those areas we like to use for lovemaking, and that might be why it enhances those feelings of love and attraction, and is a good aphrodisiac. But and it's not like if you drink this little bit of tea that you're going to go crazy on everyone. It's one of those, it's very mild and it's gentle and it's just a fun taste too. It's nice to add to it if you want to, and you don't have to. So anyway, some of you will get to try this anyway because I'll be sending it to you if you win the giveaway. But if not, then I will put the whole recipe in the show notes, and you guys can give it a try yourself. And I'll also provide links to a couple of the places where I get my herbs if you don't have someplace close where you can get things like this. And there you go. And sometimes you might have to get 4 ounces at a time, and you're not going to use 4 ounces of damiana. So it's one of those things where if you have friends local to you that you want to try and make a bigger batch together and you each take home some, that'd be a great idea, a great way to do it, where you place an order with 4 or 5 of your friends, you make the tea together, drink the tea and knit together, and then everybody goes home with a little bit. That would be a lot of fun. So I think that's it. I'm so excited you guys have come out again today. And hello and thank you to anyone who is new. I really appreciate you joining me. This is kind of my obsession. Aside from, being with and homeschooling my kids, all I do is play with fiber and plants. So I like sharing it with you, and I hope that that enthusiasm comes across and that you get to enjoy some of it too, because of things that I've shared. If you have any comments or questions, please leave them in this episode thread. If there's any questions you have that you want me to answer on future podcasts, or that I can answer in the episode thread, please feel free to ask. It's always fun to engage that way. And I hope you guys have a fabulous next couple of weeks. I'll be coming to you, I guess it's going to be in the beginning of March. So happy February. You guys are wonderful, and I will talk to you soon. Bye-bye.
If that mockingbird won't sing, Papa's in a